When you hear the word salsa, what comes to mind? You probably think of exotic Latin American sounds and styles. But did you know that salsa actually began in New York City? Salsa originated in the early 1900s as a way for Puerto Rican immigrants to socially resist assimilation into the American culture. However, it was quickly adopted by African Americans as well as Cuban and other Caribbean immigrants as a way for these different cultures to challenge the racism they faced in the U.S. Willie Colon, a famous Puerto Rican musician, describes the salsa as a harmonic blend of all the Latin music of New York and says, "Salsa is like a newspaper, a chronicle of our lives in the big city." The music has three key elements: the clave rhythm, the Spanish lyrics, often crying out for social justice in addition to love and a sense of belonging, and finally, a swaying feeling, which represents the tension immigrants face between discrimination and a hope for a better future. Salsa reflects the immigrants' struggle to survive, and its importance has been described in many ways. Lisa Sanchez Gonzalez, a Puerto Rican American, says, "The music itself has been for me another home," and describes salsa as the ways in which we negotiate our unique being in the world. Here is a sample of the original Puerto Rican-driven salsa sound. This Puerto Rican style of salsa reached its peak popularity in 1957. From there, salsa began to rapidly expand outside of the close-knit immigrant diasporas. The mid-1970s saw the great salsa boom, and with its growing population came a push from the music industry to capitalize by creating a new style that fit the Americans. However, this ultimately led to a commercialization of salsa, which not only introduced English lyrics, but also incorporated jazz, rock, and even funk music, creating a more exotic sound. This sample from the 1970s exemplifies this change. While this globalization theoretically should have benefited Latin Americans in the U.S. by teaching others about their culture, it ultimately created a further division between the mainstream consumers and the working class people who developed salsa. Lisa Sanchez Gonzalez, for example, describes how growing up in a Puerto Rican household, salsa became a symbol for her ethnic identity. When she was older, she sought to reconnect with this identity and turned to local salsa clubs in LA. But she found that they often played music whose messages and audience seemed to be directed towards other nationalities. Furthermore, these venues prevented the entrance of most working-class immigrants by enforcing high cover charges and dress codes that allowed only the wealthy to enter. This created an even greater tension in the Hispanic population because it completely disregards the Latin American and Afro-Caribbean cultures which created the salsa music. The information in this presentation shows how critical it is for teachers to be well informed when trying to address cultural differences in the classroom. It would be easy for a teacher to assume that an appropriate way to connect with Hispanic students is by playing salsa music. However, if the teacher chooses songs which embody the music's commercialization, he or she could risk insulting the students and creating further dissonance in the class. Therefore, teachers must be devoted lifelong learners intent on accurately understanding and connecting with their students' unique cultures. To learn more about the culture of salsa in the United States, please check out these great resources. Thank you.